नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, खूप सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांच्या डिमांड नंतर आपण आपली इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच इंग्लिशमध्ये सुरू करत आहोत. ही इंग्लिशमधील बॅच मी जवळपास सर्वच्या सर्व लक्ष्मीकांत कव्हर करण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. ही इंग्लिश मीडियममधल्या बॅचची तुम्हाला एक नोट्ससुद्धा मिळेल आणि यासोबतच तुम्हाला या बॅचचे सर्वच्या सर्व व्हिडिओज, आपलं जे ज्ञानदीप अकॅडमीचा लाल कलरचा लोगो असणारा ॲप आहे, या लाल कलरचा लोगो असणाऱ्या ॲपवर तुम्हाला सर्वच्या सर्व बॅच मिळेल. मग या बॅचला ॲक्सेस किती असेल, व्हिडिओज केव्हा अपलोड केले जातील, तुम्ही ते व्हिडिओज किती दिवस पाहू शकता, या सर्व बाबतीतली सर्वच्या सर्व सूचना त्या ॲपवरच त्या ठिकाणी सूचना या सदरामध्ये तुम्हाला दिलेली आहे. तर मी तुम्हाला सर्वांना सुचवेल, ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांना इंग्लिश मीडियममधनं इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच हवी होती, तुम्ही ही बॅच नक्की जॉईन करा. तुमच्या मित्रांसोबत सुद्धा शेअर करा. यामध्ये मी तुम्हाला प्रत्येक कन्सेप्ट सांगण्याचा प्रयत्न तर केला आहेच, मात्र या कन्सेप्टच्या सोबतच त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जो महत्त्वाचा कंटेंट आहे आणि त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जे महत्त्वाचा फॅक्च्युअल डेटा आहे, जो तुमच्या परीक्षेसाठी अत्यंत उपयुक्त असतो, हा सर्वच्या सर्व डेटा सुद्धा मी त्या ठिकाणी देण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. सो तुम्हाला सर्वांना विनंती की बॅच शेअर करा आणि जॉईन करा. थँक्यू. हॅलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम यू ऑल टू ज्ञानदीप अकॅडमी. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू द सेम टॉपिक which is Indian Parliament. Our topic is our Parliament. This will be the fourth session in Indian Parliament. Let's go in basics of the qualification and disqualification of member of Parliament. Very interesting topic is there. Let's start with this topic. We'll try to understand few basic points. Now, first point that we are going to discuss in today's lecture is about membership of Parliament. What are the basic criteria to get membership of the Parliament? A slight factual points are there, but these are important from your MCQ types of examination. Qualification. What are the basic qualification for a person to get elected to Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha? First important qualification is he or she should be a citizen of India. He or she should be citizen of India. Second important, both of them should take oath given in third schedule of the Indian Constitution. It means now one point is coming to very clear to my mind. First thing, let's think about Prime Minister or any Council of Minister. How many times they take oath? First, while contesting the election. Second, after becoming member of Parliament. And third, while taking charge of a minister. It means every minister takes 3 oaths when he becomes minister. Every member of Parliament takes 2 oaths. And every person who is contesting election to either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or State Assembly or State Council takes one single oath. Clear? Oath for contesting election to Parliament is given in third schedule of the Indian Constitution. While studying schedules of the Constitution, we have seen that very interesting part. A person demands money first and then he takes oath. That's why first schedule, it talks about name and territorial extent of states and union territories. Second schedule, it talks about emolument and allowances, and third schedule, it talks about oath. So the form of oath of ministers as well as members who are contesting elections and members of Parliament is given in third schedule. Here, this is important qualification for a person to get elected to Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. They must take oath given in third schedule. For becoming member of Rajya Sabha, the age of that person should not be less than 30 years of age. And to become a member of Lok Sabha, the age of the contestant should not be less than 25 years of age. There is no minimum educational qualification prescribed for a person to contest election. Other qualifications are prescribed by Parliament. Means these qualifications are given by Parliament and not by the Constitution. What are the additional qualifications for a person to contest election are given in Representation of People's Act 1951. From now onwards, we are going to calling it as a ROPA 51. Representation of People's Act 1951, that is ROPA 51. He must be registered as elector for parliamentary constituency. It means he must be registered as a voter in any parliamentary constituency. It means a person from Jammu Kashmir contests Lok Sabha election from Maharashtra. There is no limitation. Clear this thing? For Rajya Sabha seat, the person need not be from the state where he is contesting the election. He can be from any state. Earlier, before 2003, this limitation was there that to contest election in Rajya Sabha, for that Rajya Sabha seat, person should belong to that state only, or person should be a registered voter or elector in that state only. But these limitations on Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have been removed right now. Then it's about disqualification of member of parliament. A member of parliament, it means a member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, will be disqualified under two conditions. One, by president, and second, under Anti-Defection Act. Now here first we will try to understand disqualification by president. First, who shall be disqualified by president? First, any person who is holding office of profit will be disqualified by president. Now this is very interesting word. What is meaning of office of profit? First thing, the word office of profit is not defined in the Indian Constitution. Why? Because whenever we define a word in Indian Constitution or in any law, it ultimately limits the scope of that word. That's why the word office of profit is not defined anywhere in the Constitution. First point, clear? So president can remove a person as a member of parliament based on office of profit. First thing. But important thing, the word office of profit is not defined anywhere in the Constitution. First thing. Then what is office of profit? The meaning of office of profit, when a person who is member of parliament has commercial interest in a particular office, in a particular project, in a particular contract, and he acts in such a manner that his professional ethics affect his personal ethics, or his professional interest affects his that commercial interest, then that office will be called as office of profit. So any member who holds office of profit shall be disqualified by President of India. Then a person of unsound mind. Then a person of undischarged insolvent. What is insolvent? A person who is not able to pay back his loan, his debt, his dues, and his interest on all these things is called as insolvent, insolvency. That's why a person who is undischarged insolvent shall be disqualified by president. Person who is not a citizen of India and has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of a foreign country shall be disqualified by president. A person who is no more citizen of India and who has voluntarily acquired citizenship of any other country shall be disqualified by President of India. Or a person who is disqualified under any law of parliament. Here, the decision of president shall be final. He should obtain opinion of election commission and act accordingly. Representation of People's Act. Now, what is the procedure? We'll go for it. Let us see. Suppose a person is found under various grounds of precedent, like undischarged insolvent, unsound mind, office of profit, or any other thing. In this case, president and election petition shall come to President of India. President shall forward this petition to Election Commission of India about disqualification. Election Commission of India go into the examination of all these things, and Election Commission of India must give his opinion to President of India. Now here, it is binding upon the Election Commission of India. This is the petition. I'm just drawing it over here. A petition about removal of a member of parliament. When it comes to President of India, President must send this petition to Election Commission of India. It is binding upon the Election Commission of India to give his opinion to President of India. And once this opinion of Election Commission of India comes, President must act accordingly. Right? So here, if I use a word that the opinion given by Election Commission of India is binding upon the President of India, it is true. In first case about disqualification of members of parliament, the opinion given by Election Commission of India is binding upon the President of India. President should act accordingly, and the most importantly, decision of President is final and inconclusive. This is important. The decision of President is final and it is inconclusive. Clear this thing? So petition coming to President, he is sending this petition to Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India is giving his opinion. It is binding upon the Election Commission of India to give his opinion, and President must act accordingly. President must act accordingly, and decision of President is final and inconclusive. So this is first type of disqualification of member of parliament. Then second, it is by Anti-Defection Act. Remember one important thing. This Anti-Defection Act was not present in original constitution. Anti-Defection Act was added into the Indian Constitution by 52nd Amendment Act of 1985. This 52nd Amendment Act of 1985, it added 10th schedule to Indian Constitution. As we have seen in first topic, that is features of our Constitution, original Indian Constitution had only 8 schedules, right? The 9th schedule was added by 74th Amendment Act, 73rd Amendment Act, and 10th schedule was added by 52nd Amendment Act. Then again, a very important amendment was made in 10th schedule by 91st Amendment Act of 2003. This word CAA, it stands for Constitutional Amendment Act. I repeat once again, the word CAA, it stands for Constitutional Amendment Act. Clear? So, Anti-Defection Act was brought by 52nd Amendment Act of 1985. It added 10th schedule to Indian Constitution, and it has been amended once, 91st Amendment Act of 2003. Then what are the provisions of Anti-Defection Act? Let's go into it. See, now it is binding upon a member of political party when he gets elected from a particular political party. Suppose I belong to a particular political party. I get A form and B form from my party, which is a registered party. I go to that electoral office, submit my application form, and I get selected from that political party. Now it is binding upon me to continue in this party for next term of 5 years. It is binding upon me to continue in the same political party for next 5 years. But after getting elected on the basis of that party's ticket, if I voluntarily gives up my party's membership, then I will be disqualified. I will be disqualified. So I should not give up membership of a political party on whose ticket I got elected. First point. Second, if I votes or abstain from voting contrary to direction given by political party. Every political party has an officer. I will just use a slide, just few minutes. No. Every political party has an officer. Who is that officer? That officer is called as whip, right? Every political party has a whip. This whip is like a monitor of the classroom. आपके खुद के क्लासेस में मॉनिटर थे, पता है आप जब स्कूल में पढ़ते थे. So this whip is called as monitor, or it is also called as assistant floor leader. Right. Now, what is the most important function of this whip? Issue directives to his party member to come for election, to not to come for election, to vote on a particular bill, to vote in favor of bill, or to vote against the bill. All these directives are given by this whip on behalf of political party. It is binding on every political party member who is member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha to follow that whip. And anyone who do not follow this whip will be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act. Right? So anyone who do not follow the directions or the directives or the instructions given by whip on behalf of his or her political party, anyone who do not follow will be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act. So this is whip, who is also called as assistant floor leader. So votes or abstains from voting contrary to the directions given by political party. Clear? This is second method. Third, whenever an independent member joins any political party, it means if a person is not elected on any political party's ticket, if he is elected independent, then he should not join any political party for 5 years of his term. If any political party member, if any independent member joins any political party within the term of 5 years, he or she shall be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act. So, they should not join any political party. Then, nominated members can join any political party, but only after 6 months of getting nomination. Suppose I am nominated by President of India, and if I wants to join a political party, I must join this political party, not after it is within 6 months. Sorry, it is written by mistake. I must join any political party within 6 months. Within 6 months. And if I fail to join a political party within 6 months, then I can continue as an independent. But if I join a nominated member, if I join a political party after 6 months, I will be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act. Now see, I want to explain one more thing, and then I will go for this particular, what we can say, revision of this point. See, another point is there. Suppose this is A political party. This is B political party. Now, these members of A political party got elected on the ticket of A party. But after a few days, when they thought, let's join this B political party to get more political power, more political favor. If less than one third members of this A political party joins this B political party, then this less than one third member shall be disqualified. First point. So earlier what used to happen? Single person used to defect from one political party to another political party. After this rule of minimum one third members, it led to wholesale defection. Earlier there was retail defection was there. Now it led to wholesale defection. The people started making a group and just started having parlays, bargaining with another political party. We are coming here 13 to 14 people. We are coming to your political party. You have to make him deputy chief minister. These two people should be given cabinet, and others will remain for various statutory development boards. So it led to wholesale defection. That's why Parliament came up with another amendment, which was 91st Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003. 91st Amendment Act. What it said? It said, from this A political party to this B political party, if less than 2/3 members join a party contrary to the party on whose seat they got elected, then these 2/3 members shall be disqualified. It means to prevent their disqualification, minimum 2/3 or more than 2/3 members should join another political party. Minimum 2/3 or more than 2/3 members should join another political party. Then when this 2/3 or more than 2/3 members of a political party joins another political party, it is called as merger of political parties. Clear? Now I'll just revise these things once again. See, we are talking about Anti-Defection Act. Anti-Defection Act was not a part of original constitution. It was added by 52nd Amendment Act of 1985. 52nd Amendment Act had the provision for less than 1/3 members, which led to wholesale defections. So we brought another amendment, 91st Amendment Act 2003. It made a provision for less than 2/3 members of political party. 52nd Amendment Act has added 10th schedule to the Indian Constitution. So here one very clear point, 10th schedule of Indian Constitution talks about Anti-Defection Act. So under which condition Anti-Defection Act is applicable? First, when a member of political party who is a member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or State Assembly or State Council, he voluntarily gives up membership of political party. When he or she gives up membership of a political party, their membership in the legislature gets dissolved automatically. When he or she votes or abstains from voting contrary to the direction given by political party. Third, independent member joins any political party. Here remember, independent members should not join any political party for full term of 5 years. They have freedom to vote in any way they want, but they cannot join any political party for a full term of 5 years. Then whip, we discussed about whip. Whip, also called as assistant floor leader. He is like a monitor and he works on behalf of his political party to maintain discipline, decorum, attendance, voting of his party member. And members of political party have to follow the whip issued by whip, and anyone who do not follow the whip issued by or whip issued, they will be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act. Then 52nd Amendment Act talked about 1/3 members. 91st Amendment Act made it to 2/3 members. when two-thirds members of a political party joins any other political party, it is called as merger of political parties. Nominated members, if they wants to join political party, they must join political party within 6 months of their nomination. After 6 months, if any nominated member joins political party, he or she shall be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act. Before 6 months, they can join. After 6 months, they can remain member, but they should not join any political party. If they do not join any political party, they will not be disqualified. But if they joins any political party, he or she will be disqualified. Then, who takes the decision in case of disqualification? The decision shall be taken by Speaker of the Lok Sabha. But the most importantly, the decision of Speaker is not final. It is open for judicial review. The decision of Speaker is not final. It is open for judicial review. Clear these things? So this is very simple thing. Decision of President is final and inconclusive. It is not open for judicial review. Here decision of Speaker is not final. It is open for judicial review. Decision of President is final. Decision of Speaker is not final. Then what are various other additional disqualification representation of People's Act? What are other disqualifications? He must not have been found guilty of certain election offences or corrupt practices in elections. Then he must not have been convicted for any offences resulting in imprisonment for 2 or more than 2 years. Remember these points. He must not have failed to lodge an account of his election expenses with Election Commission of India. He must not have any interest in government contract works or services. For all these things, if he is found guilty, he or she shall be disqualified from membership. He must not be a director or managing agent nor hold an office of profit in corporation in which the government has at least 25% shares. He must not have been dismissed from government service for corruption or disloyalty of the states. Clear? Now, these were about disqualification. One is made by President, second is under Anti-Defection Act. Now, what are the various conditions wherein a member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha will have to vacate their seats? It means they have to lose their seats. It means they will no more be able to continue the seats which they got from election. Vacating these seats, what are the basics? See, first, it is about double membership. When a person has double seats or when he is double membership, in this case, he will have to vacate his seats. Under double membership, few points are there. I will explain these points. First point, when a person gets elected to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha simultaneously, let us say Lok Sabha elections have been announced and a particular political party is not sure about one of its prime member that he could get elected to Lok Sabha. So they allot him a Rajya Sabha seat also. Both elections are going on simultaneously and by fortune he gets elected to both the seats in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Then in this case, he must communicate about the seats he wants to continue. Within how many days? Within 10 days. Or his seat in Rajya Sabha will get vacated. It means upper house seat will get vacated. And now I repeat this line once again. When a member gets elected to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha simultaneously, he or she must communicate the seats he or she wants to continue or the seat in Rajya Sabha will be vacated. Second, if a person is already a member of first house, let us say a person is a member of Lok Sabha and he got selected to Rajya Sabha. In this case, the person was not member of Lok Sabha nor he was member of Rajya Sabha. In this first case. But in second case, a person is already a member of a house. He is member of parliament. Now he contested second house election and he got selected to second house. Then his membership in first house becomes vacant. Remember, his membership in first house becomes vacant. If a person is already a member of first house and he gets elected to second house, then his membership in the first house becomes vacant. Third condition, You might have seen many people contesting elections from many number of seats. If a person contests election from the 2 seats and by his fortune both seats he gets elected, at both the seats he gets elected, then he must communicate which seat he wants to continue, and if he fails to communicate which seat he wants to continue, then his both seats might get vacant. He must communicate about the seat he or she wants to continue within time specified by Lok Sabha Speaker. Then another condition is there. Let us say simultaneously elections are going on for state assembly as well as for the Lok Sabha or parliament. If a person contests election for both parliament as well as state legislature and he gets elected to both these seats in center as well as in state, then he or she must communicate about the seat he or she wants to continue within 14 days. Within how many days? Within 14 days. Once, or if he fail to communicate, then his seat in parliament will be vacated. If a person gets elected to parliamentary elections and state elections simultaneously, then he or she must communicate about the seat he or she wants to continue, or his or seat in parliament will gets vacated. Now see, how to remember these 10 days and 14 days? Simple logic is there. What is the distance between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? They are separated by a wall. Clear? This is common wall. On this side it is Lok Sabha, on this side it is Rajya Sabha. So distance is less. So when distance is less, do you need more days or less days? You need less days. Clear? So that's why in this case, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, within how many days you have to communicate? You have to communicate within 10 days only. Clear? But here, what is distance between parliament and state legislature? Let us think about Delhi and Mumbai. By flight, it takes almost 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So distance is more. That's why. Or by train, it takes 25 to 26 hours. Since distance is more, you need more time to communicate your decision. And this is the reason why if a person gets elected to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha simultaneously, the person has to communicate within 10 days. But if a person gets elected to parliament and state legislature simultaneously, the person can communicate within 14 days. More number of days are required. In both the cases, the important house gets vacated. In Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, which is upper house? Rajya Sabha. So the seat in Rajya Sabha gets vacated. In parliament, state assembly, which is important? Which is upper? Parliament is important. So the seat in parliament gets vacated. These are the logic you have to remember. Then, under which case a person has to vacate his seat? See, we are seeing this point. A person has to vacate his seat. In which case, first it is double membership. Then, second, it is disqualification. If a member of parliament becomes subject to any disqualification specified in the constitution, the person has to vacate the seat. Resignation. A member of Lok Sabha will send resignation to Speaker, and a member of Rajya Sabha will send resignation to Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. After resignation, they will have to vacate their seats. Absence. If a person is absent from all meetings of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha for a period of 60 days without permission, this point is important, without permission. If a person is absent with permission, no issue. The person will not be disqualified. But if a person is absent for 60 days, now how these 60 days? These 60 days consecutively. This is important. Without permission, then that person shall be disqualified. Now, how to count these 60 days? While counting these 60 days, if the house is prorogued means the session of the house is ended, or the adjourned, the session of the house is suspended for more than 4 consecutive days, then these days will not be counted in the absentee of the member. I will just give you an example. See, a person, let us think about 1st of April. A person is absent from the session for the 1st of April for 30 days. Right? For continued 30 days, the house was in sitting. Then on 30th of April, the house was adjourned for 10 days. Right? Now, then again house came back and house continued for remaining 20 days, 21 days. right? It means it is this is April start, then this is April end, then this is May, it is May end. So how many days have been completed? Total these 30 days and these 30 days. So 60 days have been completed. But is the person absent for 60 days? Yes, person is absent for 60 days. But while counting his absentee, these 10 days of the adjournment of house will not be counted in his absentee. Why? Because it says if the house is prorogued or adjourned for more than 4 consecutive days, then these days will not be counted in the absentee of the member. It means how many days he is absent right now? He is absent only for 50 days, so he will not be disqualified. And in any of these days, if he takes the permission of the house, then again the person will not be disqualified. I'll just give you another again example with this simple slide. Just look it very carefully. Now see how to count 60 days. Let us say 1st of April. It is April. House continued till 30th of April. Right. From 30th of April onward, house was adjourned for 10 days. House was adjourned. Then again, house continued for May end, till May end. So how many days are there? 20 days are there. Then again, house was adjourned for, house was prorogued for, let us say 8 days. Then again, house was continued for, let us say 15 days. Right. Now see, he's absentee. For these 30 days, house continued, but he was absent. So these will be counted as a 30 days. For these 10 days, house was adjourned. So these 10 days will not be counted in his absentee. Then again, house resumed for how many days? For 20 days. So here 20 days will be added till May end. Then from May, from 1st June, house has been adjourned for 8 days. So these 8 days is more than 4. So these 8 days will not be counted in the absentee. Then this house continued for 15 days, right? And he is still absent. So these 15 days will be counted. But out of these 15 days, these 10 days are there. 10 days means up to 10th of June, right? So on this 10th of June, he will be disqualified. It means while counting April month complete, May month complete, and again this 10th of June, he will be disqualified on 10th of June. So this is the way to disqualify a person based on his absentee. But while counting his absentee of 60 days, the days during which he was, when the house was adjourned for more than 4 days will not be counted. Other cases, when the election of that member is declared void by the court, when that person is expelled by the house, when he is elected as office of president and vice president, when he is appointed as office of governor of the states. So these are the basic areas of disqualification of a member, and he has to vacate the house. So this is the important part. We'll meet with you with more interesting topic. Till then, keep watching, keep sharing with your all friends, and whatever doubt you have, put your doubt in the comment box of the chat, or you can ask the doubt in YouTube channel also. So thank you very much. Have a good day. Keep watching. Keep healthy. Thank you.